Okay, so there's a panel over here. There's a panel over here that has a library of colors for us. A library of colors for us. And you'll notice that it looks like a grid. It looks like a grid. This is the swatch panel. Okay, so if I click on this, it's going to populate this window with all of these colors available for me to work in the software. Okay, so I'm going to tear this away as well. Okay, now when we assign colors to an object in this software, there are two things that we need to be concerned with. There's a fill color to the object, and then there's an outline color to the object. So there's a fill color and an outline color. And by default in Illustrator, when we first start our file, by default, the fill color is set to what? The fill color, who said white? You are correct. How did you know that? How did you know that? So you're saying that this little area right here is white. And that describes the fill color of the object. Well, how did you know that that wasn't the outer edge? Because it's completely filled in. That's correct. And this one shows up almost like an outline, right? So the outline of our object is then what? Black. So we have a white fill and a black outline. So the outline in Illustrator, there's actually a different term for it. They don't call it an outline. They call it a stroke. Okay, so this is the fill, this is the stroke. And you'll notice that when I hover over that, it tells me that, right? So my fill color is white, my stroke color is black. And you'll notice that when I click off of my object, here is my fill color, here is my stroke color. If I click here, it shows me the panel, and I can click and select a new color. If I click here, I can select a new stroke color. Right? One more place. Look, if I go over here, I can click, and it launches a different window, but I could pick a different color in this spot as well. So we just saw 3 different places where I can select a different fill or stroke color. I can go to the swatch panel, I can go to my control bar, I can go to my toolbar. There are 3 different places. What is that called? Remember I said there's a term, it's redundancy. So there's redundant features in the software that allow me to assign color. Did that make sense, everybody? Yes, Angela. This guy right here? So if you don't see that, you go to your window menu, and you want to make sure that your control bar is checked. Make sure the control bar is checked. Any questions about this? So in terms of colors, let's take a look at the swatch panel really quickly. In terms of colors, there are three different types of fills that we can work with. 3 different types of fills. There are solid colors. Whoops. There are solid colors. There are gradients that are a combination of colors. And then there are patterns. Patterns. Okay? What do you think this indicates right here? It says none. What do you mean? What does it mean by none? No color. So if I do this and I draw an object, how would I expect it to be drawn? You guys are answering a lot. I want to let other people answer. How should I expect this to be drawn? Transparent? Where? For the fill or the stroke? Transparent for the fill. For the fill, okay. And then what am I going to get for my stroke color? Green, right? So transparent fill, green stroke. All right, so what about, whoops, excuse me. What about that? What would my object be? Red fill, what about the stroke? No stroke, okay? So does that make sense? Pretty logical, correct? Okay, let me throw one out. Let me throw a little softball at you, or a curveball, excuse me. What is it now? Red fill and pattern stroke. Okay, so what about this guy? What about this guy? What do you guys think that is? Anybody know what that is? I might tell you what it's called, but do you know what it is? Okay, good. I'm glad you don't know. We'll talk about it later. All right, so this is how we pick our colors for our objects. By default, what are they? By default, what would I expect? Black and white, black and white. So white fill, black stroke. Okay, now, before we take a break, redundancy, right? This little icon right here will swap the colors for me. You see that? This will swap them for me. Any questions or concerns about those colors?